Hey, so in this video I want to talk about what legal matters need to be addressed when a loved one dies unexpectedly. Doesn't happen all the time, doesn't happen often. Most people, as we all know, they live a long life. They can prepare for their demise. They can get their legal affairs in order. They can talk to family and other loved ones about what they own, where all the important papers are. Heck, they even sometimes put others on their bank accounts. And so when they do pass away, there's little or no panic that takes place because survivors have the necessary information. They know they need to do some stuff, but at least they're kind of armed with the information to get things done. But occasionally, death is unexpected. Sometimes it's a medical issue, a heart attack, or some other medical issue. People kind of die unexpectedly. Sometimes through accident or some other reason, somebody dies unexpectedly, and it's sometimes on top of dealing with that, there's just a lot of chaos. So I've been involved in that many times where there was the unexpected death and all the survivors like, oh my gosh. And it's typically, there's some real immediate needs where you have to contact family and friends. You have to deal with funeral arrangements. And then a lot of panic starts to set in about different legal issues that might come up. Oh my gosh, did he have his legal affairs in order? Did she have a will or a trust? How are we going to cover the immediate, funeral expense needs? Where are his bank accounts and what else did he own or who did he owe? What about all of our credit card debt? What are we going to do about that? What about their income taxes? What about all the personal effects in the home? They had collected some things, the vehicles. Oh, he had a business. What do we do about that? How are we going to make sure that their ongoing bills get paid? Who's going to be responsible for all of this? And that all leads to typically some conclusion that we better talk to a lawyer. So here's kind of in that unexpected death, a lot of information is not accessible. Here's really what to do. And it's a tough video for me to put together because every situation is unique. But typically, once the family, friends are contacted, once the funeral arrangements are handled and the funeral takes place, then it's typically a time where, boy, we need to get some answers because there's a lot of chaos. Let's go talk to a lawyer. And the idea here is get all of the parties involved. Now, I realize that sometimes when somebody passes away, the survivors are not all amicable. Sometimes they don't like each other, they don't get along with each other, and that makes it big time more difficult. But let's just assume in this set of circumstances that all those parties that will be involved are at least, amicable and, can be in the same room together and have a discussion. So the key here to kind of keep things moving the right way is to get all those parties involved. When I say the parties, it's typically if the person had a will, who they named as the executor, and all of the heirs, all of those people who will potentially be inheriting from the deceased person. Now, maybe they had a trust, so you'll want to get the successor trustee and the beneficiaries of the trust together. That's what I mean by all of the parties. And so then, we all get together, and it really is important for everybody to get together because we're going to be taking a lot of people. Let's say a 60-year-old passed away, had 3 or 4 kids, and they all have their questions, their uncertainty, their fears. And when we can get everybody in a room and everybody can kind of voice their concerns, and all those people are in a room with somebody who really understands the process, it really relieves a lot of stress. So the idea here is get everybody together, let everybody kind of voice their concerns, and this is where it's everyone is different. Maybe one person says, well, I covered that funeral expense because the deceased person's accounts were frozen. How am I going to get reimbursed? Others might say, well, there's somebody going in the house taking all of the personal effects out. What do we do about that? Others might say, the deceased owned a business and the business's competitors are all starting to try to steal that business's clients or customers. Another might say, we don't want all of his electricity cut off, his home foreclosed upon, so what do we do about that? So the idea here, get everybody together, voice all those concerns, and then have somebody that you can work with that can develop a plan from start to finish to talk about how all those issues will be addressed, and everyone is different. Now, I will tell you, typically one of the very first things we do when the people come into the office is because everybody's hands are tied, and so the first thing that we often do is get what's called the executor confirmed. So make sure you locate the original will, bring it into the office at the very first time you talk to the lawyer, because the lawyer's going to need the original will and signatures from various people to take that to the courthouse with all of the court pleadings, have a judge sign an order that the will is valid, that the executor is confirmed. Once that executor is confirmed, now some things can happen. The executor can get access to the deceased's frozen accounts. The executor has the court orders that are necessary to get information from various third parties on what the deceased owned and who the deceased may have owed and what all those details are. So that's really step number one, real important to start getting things done. But that initial conversation with all of the parties really tends to give everybody some peace of mind from mass chaos. We don't know what in the world is going to happen from here. Everybody's asking questions, taking them from that point to, okay, we've got a plan. So we're going to do this, then this, then this, then this, based on that person's unique circumstances and the things that need to be handled. So it is really difficult when there's an unexpected death. On top of having to grieve and deal with that, there's all these legal issues that are going to have to be addressed that most people have no idea how to address them. Sure, they may have been involved in an estate settlement or two in the past, but since everyone is so different, you can't apply prior circumstances to solve all of today's problems. So it's just really critical that the family, gets some guidance and has that open communication, that transparency, so there's no fear of lack of trust issues or any of that, because there's the communication and the transparency. So that's the deal there. That's kind of my best advice, kind of general, got specific where I could, but everyone's different. And so that's that kind of procedure for starting to get things settled after the death of a loved one kind of unexpectedly. Hope that helps. Always difficult to have these meetings because they start out with, wow, I'm sorry to be meeting under these circumstances, but stuff that has to be dealt with. All right, y'all take care.